The Pretty series is a long-running sports anime on the nature of girlhood and divinity. Every season follows a group of girls competing for the top. However, 3 years into the series run, it rebranded, adopting the name Pripara. Pripara is a virtual paradise where girls can become their ideal selves, growing taller, more femme, or taking on new personalities. But how does this square with the series' sporty origins? Because Pripara is also a stage where the girls can compete to become divine idols. So how does a place that accepts everyone place some girls above others? This is the core of Pripara's tension. Whether inclusion can coexist with hierarchy. Who deserves to stand at the top if everyone should be given a fair chance? Who truly deserves to be divine? This is a tough question, and one the show explores thoroughly across 3 seasons. Let's unpack one of my favorite kids anime in this comprehensive deep dive. Our story starts with some concert footage of 3 mysterious figures. A young girl rushes to watch in excitement. Meet Lala, our main character. She's quickly informed this is old footage by her small sister Non. Lala's mom tells her to quiet down, and we've got a full picture of this family. Lala's a loud and excitable girl who lives with her smarty pants little sister. We also see a sign outside the door letting us know this is a pizzeria. We then cut to footage of magical tickets falling from the sky. These are known as Prix tickets, and once you receive one, you're able to enter Pripara. On the way to school, Lala's friend, Now, shows off her very own Prix ticket, but once they get there, she has to hide it. Why? Well, that's because of Gloria, Paprika Academy's elementary school principal. Every morning, she whips out her personal vacuum and sucks all the Prix tickets off the student body. This setup is where the series advertising starts to creep in. The very first antagonist is an evil principal who won't let you bring your toys to school. How subtle. The next scene introduces Minami, the school's head disciplinarian. She issues Lala a ticket for running in the halls. Based on her design, she's quite a straight-laced character with brown hair, brown eyes, and glasses just to show you how smart she is. The series designs are all pretty cute. Back at home, Lala's parents are setting up their pizzeria. They send her out to buy tomatoes, but she finds a bag of Prix tickets outside. The owner is nowhere to be found, so she rushes to Pripara. Despite not having a Prix ticket, one magically falls onto her, and now she too can enter Pripara. The world of Pripara is a place where girls can become their ideal selves. Led by Megane, they can grow taller, change their hair, and try on new and daring fashion. Megane helps the girls find their ideal style and is basically a virtual assistant given form. She's one of the series' stranger aspects. Lala's transformation gives her big twin tails and makes her taller, and once inside, she puts her loud voice to use and quickly finds the girl, having read her name off the Prix ticket. This is when we meet Mirei, an energetic pop idol who ends her sentences with Prix. Mirei thanks Lala but begs her to join her duo audition. After all, if she goes in solo, then she'll be disqualified. Lala's scared she'll sing too loud, but Mirei encourages her. This is a place where you can be as loud as you want. So Lala steps on stage. At first she's shy, but once she lets loose, Mirei's manager perks up. Her voice is something else, something legendary. A mysterious figure in the audience utters the words "Prism Voice," and now Mirei is saved. Her audition goes great, and the two swap Prix tickets. That's when you break the top part of a Prix ticket to trade with your friends. This is based on an arcade game where you could scan these to make your friend's character appear on screen, even if they weren't there. As the most tradable aspect of the show, framing them as proof of friendship was a pretty smart idea. This also frames an opposition to them as an opposition to friendship itself. Overall, the first episode is really strong. It frames Pripara as an integral part of girls' friendship and establishes it as a place for free expression. Lala starts the episode being told to quiet down, but in the end, it's her loud voice that gets her celebrated. It also helps that she has the legendary Prism voice. The Prism voice is a pretty nebulous concept that gets dropped after season 1, but it ties into the series' thoughts on expression. Pripara is framed as the ultimate stage for girls' self-expression, so I feel the show's focus on Lala's loud voice is meant to make her a strong and expressive character. The series wants children to use their voice, and autonomy is a major focus. You should be able to speak up for yourself, whether it's to your friends or to your evil principal who hates friendship. If this sounds interesting to you, then I encourage you to check it out. The first season is only 38 episodes long and doesn't require any past context. It is a richer viewing if you start with Pretty Rhythm, but you won't really lose much. So now that we've covered the first episode, I think we're ready to explore Pripara's first arc. The first core of Pripara follows the formation of Salami's Smile, a unit comprising Lala, Mide, and a third member. In the series' second episode, we meet the top idol Sophie, a stoic redhead surrounded by her personal fan club. Sophie speaks in short, vague phrases which most of her fans find pretty cool. She's also in Lala's school, but as a middle schooler, the Pripara ban doesn't apply to her. Mide calls Lala back to Pripara, and having promised to return, Lala obliges. She's happy to sing with Mide again, but this time they leave together, and once they step outside, they meet face to face as regular girls. Lala the elementary schooler, and the disciplinarian Minami. The very girl enforcing the rules was breaking them too. Now, technically Minami's in middle school, but it's still a good twist. Minami's idol persona is a carefully calculated ruse. Even the fact that she forgot her bag was a careful scheme to find a partner. So why bother doing all this? Well, Mide is a rather serious girl and has calculated the path to success. Being Mide makes her appealing, but it's also just fun. Put simply, Minami's the serious analytical side, while Mide's the playful and fun side. To help Lala catch up to her, she asks her to come up with a making drama. For the rhythm gamers in the audience, this is the appeal section, but to everyone else, it's a fun visual sequence in the middle of the song. Mide explains that making dramas let idols express themselves. Keep that in mind. When Lala goes home, she's asked to deliver a pizza to her reclusive customer, an exhausted redhead with a preference for pickled plums. Thinking back on this experience, Lala creates a making drama where she delivers a big pizza in a box. Now she can express her feelings to her fans. This episode is really important to the greater series. The making drama is presented as a marriage between the girls' regular lives and Pripara. In her regular life, Lala delivers pizza, but on stage she can deliver a big pizza from a giant box. A fantastic elevation of the ordinary, much like Pripara elevates ordinary girls into fantastic idols. It's quite holistic. Now what about that third member? In episode 5, Lala spots a popular idol in Pripara, a talented redhead named Sophie. Excited, she asks Mide to take her to Sophie's show, and the performance is perfect. She has a call and response routine, her fans love her, and beyond that, she's just really cool. If the two are going to team up with anyone, then it's gotta be her. But getting to Sophie won't be easy. As a popular idol, she would never meet with rookies like them. For this reason, Minami thinks they should find someone else, but Lala won't give up. Later that day, she goes to Sophie's apartment where she finds the strange customer that loves pickled plums. She helps her back to her room where she meets Cosmo, one of Pripara's top designer. Cosmo takes her in and thanks Lala. This episode serves to show Lala's love for both sides of Sophie. While she doesn't know it yet, the top idol Sophie and the pickled plum customer are the same girl. Now would also be a good time to introduce the mascots. Every idol in Pripara needs a manager, usually a little plushie with yellow wings. Lala and Mide's manager is Kuma the bear, and Sophie's manager is Usagi the rabbit. The two have been rivals for a long time, and with Sophie under Usagi's care, he'd never let Kuma have her. Usagi sees Sophie as a prized object. The two first met in her childhood when she performed a legendary debut live. Despite her weak constitution, one pickled plum filled her with energy, but to keep her famous, Usagi suggested she hide her illness. After all, it might affect his reputation. This is how the two rose to the top, by hiding who Sophie was behind a cool veneer. Despite being in Pripara, Sophie was denied the chance to be herself. All she wanted was to dance, but now she was trapped in a cycle of shame that kept her from reaching out. Sophie's fan club guard her reputation fiercely, believing it's what's best. But what about what Sophie wants? When does she get a voice? The story does take this further with Sophie's outfit. If you watched Pretty Rhythm, you understand that the swan represents those who were given everything: beauty, talent, and abundant love. The two Sophies also remind me of Swan Lake, which was heavily referenced in previous series. Just a little trivia for the Pretty Rhythm fans. Hidden behind a cool gaze, Sophie rots from within. But thankfully, Lala plans to save her, because Lala loves both sides of Sophie and encourages her to act freely, to do things on her own. Unfortunately, change is a long and difficult process. Salami Smile's formation rests on Sophie's choice. Should she follow them, she'd be leaving behind Usagi an illustrious career laid out for her. And while Lala's a believer, Mide is already seeking other candidates. She meets this one girl called Dorothy you might want to remember. The series' 10th episode explores the girl's ability to change through a side character named Love. Tochiotome Love is a tall tennis player who feels too masculine to go to Pripara. But through Lala's encouragement, she's able to go and discovers that being tall gives her a model-esque figure. Even the parts we may not like about ourselves might be appealing in Pripara. Could Sophie's fans learn to love her? Feeling encouraged by Lala, Sophie tries to reach Pripara on her own. But despite her best efforts, she's just not ready yet. She collapses in exhaustion and has to be rescued by her fan club. This is a big hit to Sophie's confidence, and Usagi swoops in to scold her. He tells her she doesn't have to choose. Her path is laid out before her. All she must do is walk it. Usagi's plan for Sophie is to have her join Niu and Miu, a senior idol unit with a large fan base. And feeling defeated, Sophie quietly agrees. For her next performance, she debuts a new making drama, where she sits in a massive cage with a key out of reach. As her fan club watches, they start to wonder if this is best. Whenever a unit is formed in Pripara, they must hold an official ceremony with the manager as witness. During Sophie's unit formation, the fan club sneaks Lala in, just long enough for her to call out to Sophie and disrupt the ceremony. Should Sophie change her mind, then Lala will be waiting on the top floor. Feeling inspired, Sophie runs off to her real friends. Battling fatigue, she crawls into the elevator and arrives not as the polished idol, but as herself. This is who they were waiting for. And when the trio perform, they don't open her cage, but give her the key. Sophie's freedom is placed in her own hands. It's quite respectful of her autonomy. Salami Smile's formation marks the end of the first core, and it's a really fun finale. Thematically, Sophie is the first girl denied the promise of Pripara, and that promise is quite ambitious. In real life, idols have to maintain their image, but in Pripara, you can be yourself. So how did they marry these two concepts? Well, Sophie's liberation is kind of the perfect start to this series, because her liberation is the liberation of all girls. Following this episode, we meet characters with worse attitudes, deeper voices, and a complex relationship with femininity. This arc marks the fall of the perfect idol, and the expectation that any girl should act a certain way or hide parts of herself that are undesirable. It's a strong thesis statement for how an idol anime could possibly tackle a theme as ambitious as inclusion. But that's the kind of guts I love Pripara for. So what could they possibly show us next? Now that we've explored inclusion, it makes sense to explore hierarchy. The Pretty series has its origins as a sports series, so competition is a major focus. And where there's competition, there is rivalry. Episode 14 marks the iconic debut of Todo Shion, a middle school Go champion. She's so good that at the height of her glory, she declares no one in the next 10 years could defeat her. So instead, she'll conquer a new field, rising to the top of the idol world. Shion is one of my favorite characters. She's a cocky analytic who speaks in 4 character idioms, and her first move is getting revenge on Minami, who wouldn't let her play Go in the middle of the hall. But she's not alone in this, because Dorothy hates Mide too. Remember that girl who Mide considered for the team? She lost her shot because, as it turns out, Dorothy is a twin, and the twins are a package deal. Her spite resonates with Usagi, who just lost his prized possession Sophie to Salami Smile. United in grievance, the trio form an unofficial team under Usagi. Their name, Dressing Parfait. Yes, I will be saying parfait, I know it's parfait, but that just doesn't roll off the tongue. Dressing Parfait is a really good counter to the main three. While Lala, Mide, and Sophie are somewhat flawed, they're quite appealing overall. But Shion is a stubborn girl, unafraid of conflict with friends, strangers, or teachers at school. She meets her match in Dorothy, an entitled brat who listens to no one. The two argue constantly to the dismay of their third member, Leona. The team is a mess, and it's reflected in their performance through the Xylem change. At the end of every performance, the clothes light up, and that's called a Xylem change. Salami's Smile are united by friendship, so they have a unified Xylem change and wear the same outfit. But Dressing Parfait do not. They're still just three girls standing on one stage, far from the unit they could be. The second arc also introduces the Paradise Cord, a legendary outfit that only shines on a true idol. Now, we know that doesn't mean being perfect, but we're allowed to question what makes each of these girls a true idol. Before we get into that, we have to explore Dressing Parfait's journey to becoming a real team. Every character in Pripara is an argument meant to challenge the show's thesis. For example, if Pripara lets you be whatever you want, what if you want to be something you can't embody? The Halloween episode gives us Rantan, a girl who desperately wants to be scary. She does scary makeup and wants to go to Hollywood, but there's a problem. Rantan is just too cute. This is the first time we've seen a character fail to achieve their ideal self. The show acknowledges that her passion is real, and even if she can't attain it, she's still able to make others look scary. The episode addresses that some people can't fully embody what they want to be, while also introducing a mysterious girl named Falalu, the same one who noticed the prism voice in episode 1. The writers love to use side characters to spell out what main characters are going through. In Sophie's episode about change, they used Love's fear over her height to reflect Sophie's fear of her imperfections. The same thing is happening here. We might not know much about Falalu, but because she appears right before Rantan, we can probably assume there's something she wants to be that she's struggling to embody, slightly hinted at by her childlike behavior and attempts to mimic Lala. Now back to Dressing Parfait. Every member is a perfect foil to the first three characters. Sophie learned to use her voice, but what if she didn't have much to say? That's Leona, who clings to her twin sister and goes along with her whims. She barely has any lines in these first few episodes. Mide conveys a calculated persona, showing just how versatile identity is. But what if you don't want to change? That's Shion, a girl who's stubbornly herself no matter what. She doesn't even change her appearance in Pripara. Finally, there's Lala, a girl who hears people out and encourages them to use their voice. Her foil is Dorothy, girl just as loud, but who only cares about her own opinion. Dorothy is a terrible person, and the show is much better for it. While Shion is in the same school as our main girls, it's not until episode 18 that the twins transfer in. Dorothy arrives in the girls' uniform, while Leona arrives in the boys' uniform. This is a major surprise to their classmates, and another challenge to the show's thesis. Would a boy be welcome in Pripara? When asked why he wears girls' clothing, his sister Dorothy answers, they've always been matching. And since he has a Prix ticket, he's allowed to be in Pripara. I appreciate the honesty with which the show tackles Leona's gender. These are questions that children would likely have, and it answers them matter-of-factly. The scene itself is quite small, but it tends to overshadow the episode in online discourse. From the beginning, Leona has walked in his sister's shadow. When Dorothy first tried to join Lala and Mide, Leona quite literally stood behind her. This is something that Shion calls him out on, tasking Leona to come up with a new making drama. If Leona can't express her own opinions, then does she really belong in Pripara? Back at school, Lala's giving some kids a tour when Shion bumps into one of them, who starts crying. Dorothy tries charming him but only makes things worse as the kids scatter. They only calm down when they meet Leona, whose gentle energy soothes them. They even call her a big sister. The next scene is really important in how the show portrays Leona's gender. One of the children had a balloon, which is now stuck in the tree. While Lala's too short to reach it, Leona easily scales the tree trunk to Lala's amazement. He brings down the balloon, and the kids' tour is saved. After watching the kids' tour, Leona is inspired to create a making drama where they all run with the flag and then fly off in a balloon, a fantastic recreation of the day's events. This marks the first time in the series that dressing parfait beats salami smile, because now all three members are using their voice. Dorothy and Shion had no trouble expressing themselves, but Leona's shy personality kept her from truly contributing to their team. Now that they stand together, they can do anything. Episode 18 is one of the best in the early series. It reintroduces basic themes like finding your voice and belonging, while asking questions a kid might have. Can a boy belong in Pripara? Leona's gender is a massive can of worms, so let me state that I plan to keep using both he and she depending on the context. This is based on the following facts established throughout the series. Number 1. Leona consistently sees themselves as a boy. Leona has a very timid personality, so he doesn't speak much, but based on his actions, we do get a clear sense of how he sees himself and wants others to see him. In episode 18, despite having worn female clothing before, and despite matching his twin sister on stage, Leona shows up to school in the boy's uniform. In episode 27, when Lala gets sick and they're all in a room, Leona starts dabbing the sweat from her chest. When the rest remember that he's a boy and that it might be better for the girls to do it, Leona accepts this with no protest. Even when characters talk about boys, like in episode 57, we see Leona react as though he's the one being discussed. This is why I feel comfortable using he, as this is how the character sees themselves, assumes others might see them, and accepts being treated as. Now let's talk about authorial intent. The writers could have had anyone get the balloon. They could have written any character into the scene. But this scene seems intentionally written to show both stereotypically masculine and feminine qualities. Leona's gentle nature is what helps with the children, but it's also his physicality that lets him get the balloon. It also helps that he's wearing trousers and not a tiny skirt. The choice to highlight Leona's masc and femme traits seems like the clearest thesis on their gender. Leona is both male and female, masc and femme. Pronoun-wise, Leona uses watashi, which is gender neutral, but specifically doesn't use boku or atashi, which is interesting because Dorothy uses boku all the time. For this reason, I'll be using both he and she pronouns based on whatever provides the most clarity. Leona's gender is a discourse magnet, so throughout this video, let's focus on what the show is saying and not what might win us an internet argument. Moving on. So what was the show trying to tell us? Well, it's basically a parallel to Sophie's arc. In order to be a true idol, Leona must learn to express her own views, just like Sophie did. But while Sophie went unheard, Leona just doesn't have much to say. This parallel tends to get ignored, but it's pretty intentional. Both characters are dependent on their siblings, and they share a mascot while going through similar things just from opposite ends of the spectrum. Leona feels that she might not shine as bright as her sister, but that's fine. Change is always an option. Leona starts out feeling inferior, but by the end, her making drama helps them win. This confirms that her voice and opinions do have value, and despite being the most timid, she's still a valuable member of the team. Overall, it's just a really strong episode. The game mechanics all serve narrative functions, and it does a great job introducing Leona. Her character is a clear foil to Sophie, and it still establishes that while accepting their separate outcomes. Probably top 5 season 1 episodes. Episode 20 is the clearest display of Dorothy's personality and establishes the difference between friendship and rivalry. Titled Pasta vs. Ninja, the episode pits Lala's family pizzeria against Dorothy and Leona's new store. The twins move into Lala's neighborhood and establish a ninja-themed okonomiyaki store. They ask the principal to judge the match, and the event draws a small crowd. This is exciting because the shopping center hasn't seen new business since a big supermarket opened. How both girls react to this tells us a lot about them. At first, Lala starts serving free samples, and Dorothy follows suit. But shortly after, Lala starts to advertise for the other stores, trying to share the new clientele with everyone else in the shopping district. While Dorothy only cares about her own agenda, aka voice, Lala uses her voice to uplift everyone. One is selfish, the other is selfless. While Dorothy sees Lala as a fierce rival, Lala sees Dorothy as a friend. This episode also provides some useful context on the principal's hatred of Pripara. She hasn't come up much till now, but she's a regular customer at Lala's pizzeria. This gives her lots of time to interact with Lala's mother, Himeka. On the day of the showdown, Himeka comments on Lala's wonderful friends, but Gloria is unconvinced, as she asserts that friends will always betray each other. For this reason, she takes over the middle school and bans Pripara for all students. One of the highlights of Pripara is that its whimsical writing is extended to adult women. This is something I didn't recognize until a few commenters brought it up, so I'd like to dedicate this section to Gloria Okanda. From the very first episode, Gloria is a massive character. Her design features extreme proportions, and the animators put a lot into her expressions. Gloria hates Pripara, aka friendship, aka the toys we're trying to sell. Unlike the other adult women, Gloria isn't married and doesn't have a family of her own. She spends most of her time talking to her vacuum cleaner until she discovers Papa's Pizza, the pizzeria where Lala lives. This becomes her favorite spot during summer, where she slowly befriends Lala's parents, but especially Lala's mom. Gloria is a deeply lonely woman, so when Himeka praises Lala's friends, it strikes a nerve. The two women have been getting along so far, but it seems they've reached a crossroads. Gloria's pain comes from her tragic past with Pripara. While doing some research, Mide discovers that Gloria used to love it, but in between the 5th and 6th grade, something happened. Something changed that broke her forever. When Gloria was just a girl, she went to Pripara as Sugar, a stylish classic idol. As she struggled to use a crane machine, a helpful girl stepped in to help her. Meet Himeka, a cool, mature beauty who captured Sugar's heart. The two became quick friends and spent every day in Pripara. Sugar's time with her friend was the greatest in her life. They grew so close that one day, they decided to meet outside Pripara, but that's where the trouble began. While the modern Prix ticket has an image of the real girl, older Prix coupons did not. So despite planning to meet, neither girl knew what the other looked like. They spent hours walking past each other, unable to see their friend in front of them. Sugar was certain she'd been abandoned, standing alone in the winter snow as the other girls gossiped about her. After a year of waiting, she convinced herself that Sugar had found someone better, so she decided to become a school principal and ban Pripara. To their credit, the girls find her story quite ridiculous. It's a very overblown reaction, but it makes sense to her. Lala insists that Himeka didn't betray her. There must have been some reason she couldn't come. And wouldn't you know it, at Himeka's school, Pripara was banned shortly after. The girls force Gloria to watch a performance, which inspires her to go to Pripara. In the winter snow, she sees a woman holding an old Prix coupon. Her Prix coupon. It's Himeka. Every winter, she finds herself drawn to the gates. And at last, the two women reunite. All along, they had both been waiting, walking past each other time and time again. But in a strange twist of fate, the two found each other as adults. Himeka and Sugar returned to Pripara, not as girls, but now grown women. There's a beautiful scene where Lala's dad sits alone with Non, while his wife and daughter have fun in Pripara. Considering the series' early views on women and mothers, I think it's a beautiful moment. It's come a long way. Having resolved her past feelings, Principal Gloria unbans Pripara, allowing the girls to compete in the Idol Grand Prix. Kuma wants Salami Smile to win, but Lala wonders if that's what matters. The feeling is shared by Shion, who finally starts to value her friends. During the ban, all she could think about were the twins, and how badly she wanted to perform with them. So the trio has their official ceremony, united not in spite, but now in friendship. With the girls closer than ever, Lala proposes they all compete as one unit, not as rivals, but as friends. The groups combine to form Salami Dressing, sweeping the first round of the Idol Grand Prix and receiving the Paradise Shoes. This brings them one step closer to the top. The second arc of Pripara is a pretty standard friends to rival arc. The series loves to compare collaborative and competitive approaches to sport, and I think this was a very interesting turning point for the series. Previously, a balance was struck between both groups, but in Pripara, friendship is the dominant ideology, which is why the groups unite. It's also why Salami Smile wins so much early on. Overall, it does a great job exploring the new characters. I also find it cute that every character is named after a note. We've got Do, Ray, and Mi with Dorothy, Reona and Mire, So is Sophie, La is Lala, and She is Shion. Cool. But I feel like we're forgetting someone. Pripara is a stage where any girl can shine. As long as they have a ticket, then all are welcome to sing, to dance, and create making dramas. The making drama is an elevation of the girl's ordinary life. But what if there was a girl who didn't need elevation? What if there was a girl that was truly extraordinary? On the day of the second Grand Prix, Lala meets up with her best friend Now. They haven't hung out in a while, and now that Pripara is unbanned, they can do so without fear, until Gloria shows up and chases them for not doing their homework. They run off onto a gondola while Megan E flirts with Gloria. The girls enjoy a relaxing ride, unaware that a mysterious girl is watching. As soon as Now leaves, the girl appears in front of Lala. It's Falalu, remember? Falalu's learned to speak full sentences and has an important question for Lala, whether Now is Lala's friend or Lala's fan. While Lala's eager to befriend everyone, Falalu wants one thing, fans. And that she's gonna get, debuting at the next style Grand Prix, beating Salami dressing. Falalu's win is unprecedented. Unlike Lala, her prism voice is active at all times. She's able to reach the fans' hearts and wins them over easily. So why is Falalu so good? Well, Falalu is a vocal doll, a girl born inside Pripara. While the girls have to train to learn songs and dances, Falalu can imitate anything she's seen once, like a robot. She can copy and learn from anything and anyone. This victory poses a challenge to Lala's ideology, because perhaps friendship won't be enough. How could they hope to win against the perfect girl, born to be on stage? Well, there's something we might have forgotten. Isn't the whole point of Pripara to express yourself? Falalu's first making drama is Frozen Castle Mirage. But why? Why is it a winter castle? Well, it's probably because Frozen caused a massive business boom in the girls genre, but it's got nothing to do with her. That's because it was made by her manager. Right before she makes the castle, Falalu says, "Believe in dreams," because Falalu is a dream come true. Not her own, but the dreams of all girls in Pripara. While the girls are unaware of it, this is how vocal dolls are born. Keep that in mind. Falalu's manager is Unicorn, a fantastic manager for a fantastic girl. She's also her caretaker and the only witness to her birth. It's through her that we learn she was born from a ticket, a Prix ticket. While others need a ticket to go in, Falalu was born in paradise, the perfect girl with a prism voice. But Prix tickets mean more than that. They're also a symbol of friendship, snapped and traded among girls. Dear viewer, what do you think would happen if Falalu snapped her ticket? This is why Unicorn discourages her from having friends. As long as she only has fans, she'll never have to find out. Put simply, Falalu is a girl born to power, but condemned to solitude. And this is a part of a series-long tension between love and power. The Pretty series loves to examine the cost of female power, with many of its greatest women attaining success at the cost of their relationships. Is it ever possible for women to find both power and connection? That is the primary question of Falalu's arc. She wants to get closer to everyone, but she can't. Under Unicorn's instruction, she doesn't need friends, and this is the tragedy of the vocal doll. Born to power, but condemned to solitude. That is the perfect girl, standing atop the world with no one beside her. It's a horribly tragic fate, and one the series examines to its full extent. Falalu's journey to friendship begins with the third idol Grand Prix. Unable to beat her together, Salami Dressing split into their respective teams, but that won't matter because Falalu can copy anything, including their making dramas, performing 7 in a row and sweeping the competition. In retrospect, this isn't that surprising. Falalu doesn't have an ordinary life, so why would she have her own making drama? What does a doll even do in the nighttime? After her victory, there's one thing that still bothers her. The fact that Lala isn't one of her fans, but instead wants to be friends. What does that even mean? Now that she's won the full Paradise Chord, she intends to make it shine, proving that she is a true idol. The girls at this point are just tired of losing and don't really know what to do. They're not even performing. But in a neat surprise, Sophie's older sister puts on a show to encourage them. Did you forget her? Don't worry, nobody expected Cosmo of all characters to get a CG model. I doubt I've even mentioned her by name. She's a legacy arcade character, so this was nice fan service. Now back to Falalu. She gets on stage, starts singing, making drama, and nothing. During the Xylem change, the chord doesn't glow. For whatever reason, this girl doesn't qualify. And that shouldn't be surprising to anyone. We learned this in the first arc. A true idol is more than a perfect image, but more importantly, that Pripara is a place for self-expression. We'll be saying that a lot this video. Looking at Falalu's arc, does she really embody that? A character who can't even create her own making drama. In a sense, she's not the perfect girl, but merely the image of one. This ties back to how vocal dolls are born. The Prix tickets are a metric for the girls' relationships, not just to each other, but to Pripara. If you love Pripara and you played the arcade, it's probably these things that you kept, and a girl born from that carries those feelings. But Falalu is just that, a reflection, a reflected image without a subject. Lala is a subject. She was born a girl and then became an idol, and brings those experiences with her on stage. That's why she can come up with making dramas, the making dramas that Falalu copies. Until she finds her own voice, then Falalu will never be a true idol. What does it mean to be real? To be a real girl? To be a true idol? Falalu was born an idol, but Lala became one. And this is something she finds intriguing. What does it mean to be a girl and exist outside Pripara? When Lala finds out she's never seen the real world, she promises to show her. Unicorn disapproves, but in her first act of humanity, Falalu disobeys. Through her phone, she's exposed to school, flowers, and even sees a real-life boy, who she'd only read about so far. When Lala shows Falalu her little sister, Nan picks out a flower as a gift for her, and this gesture really moves her. See, Falalu doesn't really have any sisters. She's the only being of her kind. So she decides to make her own, dressing a wind-up robot in some ribbons. When Lala brings the flower to Pripara, she places it in the toy, and now Falalu's Nan is complete. Unfortunately, Unicorn catches them hanging out and chases her friends away. In the scuffle, Falalu's Nan is broken, symbolically the attempt Unicorn made to destroy their friendship. This doll does quite the heavy lifting symbolically. It represents her friendship with the girls, as well as her exposure to the real world. When the toy breaks, the girls help Falalu fix it. It takes quite some time, so she asks why they're helping. But isn't it obvious? The girls are friends now. They each take turns explaining what friendship means and slowly putting the robot back together. That's what friends do. These events leave a huge mark on Falalu, so during her next performance, she creates her own making drama, TikTok Flower. It's a sequence where a single flower blooms in a world of gears. This is Falalu's voice slowly emerging, born of disobedience and friendship. But the day also inspires Salami Dressing, who choose to write a song about friendship. This is the song they'll use to challenge Falalu, hoping to win back the Paradise Chord. If you've been paying attention, the result should be obvious. The girls' performance goes great. They have a new song, a new making drama, and the power of friendship on their side. But Falalu's evolved too, with a new making drama. Initially, the blooming flower was Nan's, but now it's an entire bouquet. Falalu wants to grow, far beyond her fans' desires. The votes come in, and for the first time in her short life, Falalu loses. But she's happy to, because now she has friends. After the match, She walks up to Lala and Unicorn starts to panic. This is what she had feared, that one day the doll would snap her ticket. And at last, the moment comes. The final moment of Falalu's short life. Falalu's death is set up pretty neatly in the broken toy episode. We see that friendship broke the doll, and know the girls will have to put her back together. If they hadn't been Falalu's friends, this might not have happened. But they're not entirely to blame. Falalu wanted to change. She wanted to see the outside world, to understand the difference between fan and friend, girl and idol. This gap is what inspired her to break her ticket. So how will they put her back together? The plan hinges on the Paradise Chord and Lala's prism voice. It's defined as a voice that reaches into others' hearts. If you watched Rainbow live, it's kind of like the Rainbow Bridge. The main six put on a revival concert wearing the Paradise Chord, hoping its power will bring her back to life. They do their best, and during the Xylem change, the chord glows. But that light fades pretty fast. While they have become true idols, capable of self-expression, Falalu's life was made of far more than that. As Lala breaks down, a voice in the crowd interrupts. A single voice, then two, then the whole stadium starts to sing. And miraculously, they all have the prism voice. This redefines it as the collective human ability to connect, allowing every girl's voice to reach out. The prism voice doesn't belong to anyone, but is a collective bond between the girls and Pripara. This partially explains why Falalu had it. As the embodiment of love the girls had for Pripara, it makes sense that her voice would carry those feelings. The girls snap their pre-tickets and send them up to Falalu, carrying the love that made her. Put simply, the girls' friendship revived Falalu, not just Solami dressing, but everyone's. The feelings that created her would now bring her back to life. As Falalu awakens, she joins them on stage and performs the full version of TikTok Flower. A lifeless doll in a world of gears is reborn in a field of flowers. This rebirth unwinds her hair and gives her a brand new outfit. Her voice also loses its auto-tuned quality. While she's still a vocal doll, she loses her ability to copy, because real girls have a real voice, their own voice. And now, she's free to live as an individual. The season ends with everyone getting the Paradise Chord, because everyone is a true idol. The first season of Pripara is some of the best kids TV I've seen. Unlike other seasons, it only had 38 episodes, and every single one matters. The first few are clearly written to address parents' concerns about Pripara. They explain in significant detail that it doesn't affect their grades, helps them make friends, and equates opposition to the brand to a hatred of friendship. Can anyone be an idol? This is something the series addresses through side characters like Love and Chanko. Love is a masculine girl who first appears to show Sophie that the parts she hates in herself could be liked by others, the same way that Love hates her tall figure and broad shoulders. Chanko is a little different. She's the series' primary fat character, and while it is used for jokes, she's also depicted as attractive through grabbier model shoots throughout the run. We'll come back to her later. On a macro scale, the three arcs work hard to destroy the idea that you need to have a certain look, voice, or personality to be an idol. Within Pripara, a true idol is a girl who shamelessly expresses her interests and uses her own voice. Whether it's loud or deep or entitled, there's no wrong way to be a girl here. The Falalu arc is basically a repeat of Sophie's arc, examining what would happen if a girl was incapable of having her own thoughts and opinions. So just as Sophie was saved, so must Falalu, both becoming a true idol. At the end of the season, Unicorn requests a transfer to another Pripara, because now that Falalu's a real girl, she won't need as much help. But Falalu won't let her go, because they're friends now, what Unicorn had always secretly wanted. So the season concludes with Falalu's departure, no longer a doll, but finally a real girl. Now, if you're watching this on Patreon, we're about to break down all the beta designs and cut concepts. Patreon is a great way to support creators you love, and for this video, I'll be exploring the cut content after every season in the Patreon version of this video. If you'd like to see that, there's a link in the description where we'll explore what Season 1 could have been. But if you're watching on YouTube, then we're probably going to move right along to Season 2. I appreciate both audiences and hope you enjoy whichever version of this video you're currently watching. Let's move on. It's easy to forget just how popular Frozen was, or at least it would, if not for its massive influence in media of the time. Airing just a year after the movie's release, Pripara makes a direct reference to it in Fallalu's making drama, Frozen Castle Mirage, but it's not alone in this. The next year, 2015, ushered in princess-themed girls media following renewed interest. Prix, one of the biggest magical girl series, gave us Go Princess, shifting to a boarding school setting where the characters learned to be refined. Aikatsu, Pripara's main rival, introduced story dresses, inspired by various fairy tales. For a series so concerned with girlhood, the princess concept was a new thematic challenge, because royalty is exclusive by nature. If Pripara is a place for all girls, then what kind of girl deserves to be a princess? The answer to this introduces one of the series' best characters, who I'm so excited to unpack. Pripara's second season is arguably the best, combining a large cast with the usual comedy, but brushing against the obvious tensions between a paradise for all and the exclusive nature of the crown. Season 2 also marks a shift from everyday girls to larger-than-life personalities. In Season 1, girls with a few odd traits found their place in Pripara, but now that that's been established, it's time for the real weirdos, like a devil-angel Chunibyo pair, a nature-loving girl who speaks to animals, and a wacky art teacher who only speaks in puns. This is partially what made the anime untranslatable, since there's a lot more comedy this time around. Even regular dialogue scenes are packed with puns and gags that I found pretty funny. So let's explore the greatest season of Pripara. The first arc of Season 2 reintroduces the main six and a new pair of characters. Meet Aromageddon, an idol duo who roleplay an angel and devil. It's a pretty fun gag, but it does get dragged out. If you've watched Pretty Rhythm, then you'll also notice the obvious reference to Serenon. It also introduces the Dream Theater, a new stage in Pripara where groups of 5 can perform as a dream team. In order to form one, Salami, Smile, and Dressing Parfait need 2 more members, and wouldn't you know it, there's 2 new characters. The Dream Theater allows our characters to fly during the Xylem change. Every idol gets different wings based on their type, which really brings that into focus. And with a focus on royalty, what does it mean to soar above? To be a princess, flying past your friends up to new heights. Looking at the season's new characters, they're both extreme versions of the lovely and cool type. Mikan is a sweet little angel, and Aroma is a scheming devil. Visually, I also think an angel and devil lend themselves to strong designs. It's a happy coincidence that they suit the new motif so well. The biggest issue with Season 2 is that its first core is really slow. While the reintroduction is good for new viewers, it was quite dull to see all at once. This is a major limit of my reviews because I really experienced the media as intended, week to week. But that's enough preamble. Let's finally start talking about Season 2. Mikan and Aroma are childhood friends. They met on the playground as a timid girl and a tomboy. As a child, Aroma was a quiet girl who lacked confidence, but one day she got to play the devil in a school play, and stepping into that role gave her power. By playing a devil character, she found a voice and became the idol she is today. But that lonely girl is still in there, as she's quite protective of her only friend, Mikan. Unlike Aroma, Mikan grew up as a sporty and playful girl, and as Aroma's friend, she was more than happy to roleplay with her. For this reason, she became the sweet angel to their duo, even if she forgets her lines. This is where we meet them in the first episode, playing their roles and weirding out the other characters. The choice to feature 2 Chunibyo reflects the shift toward big characters in the season, while also targeting the young audience. So, how are they gonna recruit new members? First, they need to keep the teams free-forming. At the end of Season 1, every team was disbanded for story reasons, and now they need to reform via a team ceremony. Every team ceremony needs 3 members and a witness, usually their manager. So Aromageddon has their manager, Nekon, seduce Kuma and Usagi. Now that they're under her spell, they refuse to witness either ceremony, leaving Solami and Dressing unofficiated. Next, they try to recruit each member through lying, stealing, and schemes. Most of these fail, but we do get some good character moments. Sophie's dad shows up with a miracle plum that could keep her healthy, but since it grows abroad, she'll have to leave Japan. The episode centers Sophie's choice as she's given room to make whatever decision she wants, knowing her friends will support her. She chooses to stay, and the plum farm turns out to be cherries. Big whoop. Dressing Parfait's best episode is when Dorothy and Shion fight again, forcing Leona to perform solo. Seeing the effort he puts in inspires the girls to get along and clarifies Leona's role as the peacemaker of the group. It's also hilarious that the team just keeps arguing throughout the entire series. So, what was the point of all this? Well, the Armageddon arc wraps up with the formation of the series' first Dream Team. The setup is quite simple. Aroma's birthday is coming up, and Mikan plans to surprise her, so she ditches Aroma to go bake with Salami Smile in Pripara. Unfortunately, at that very moment, Aroma was looking for her, because she knew that Mikan was hungry. Usually, Mikan only eats what Aroma gives her, but when Aroma gets to Pripara, she finds Mikan being fed by the members of Salami Smile. On its face, this is a pretty childish conflict, but remember, these are elementary schoolers. Aroma feels betrayed by Mikan, so she disbands their unit, tearing up a childhood drawing she made of them. Salami Smile searches for the picture, during which we see a lot more animals than usual, almost as though Falalu's rebirth symbolically ushered natural life into Pripara. They find the drawing, and Mikan makes Aroma a new cake. Seeing Mikan try so hard, while also resisting the urge to eat it, Aroma decides to forgive her, and at that very moment, their Siloom charms glow. These are little heart-shaped toys that they introduced for the second season, and when they glow, a dream team is formed. The system acknowledges 5 girls, and their charms glow in unison. Early on, it seems like the intention was to combine pre-existing teams, so this one is Salamageddon Me, Salami Smile, and Aromageddon. The team sing Happy Birthday and perform their first Siloom Airy. It's a fitting end to the arc that shows off all the new mechanics. Beyond the performance, it's not the most entertaining, but it does its job by acquainting new viewers to Pripara. Thankfully, the very next arc kicks it into high gear. Following the birthday, Usagi's little sister shows up for mascot school. Meet Usacha, an adorable pink rabbit. She's been working hard to graduate and decides to visit her big brother. Throughout the episode, Usagi works hard to be a role model for his sister, but Kuma gets in the way, revealing her brother's affection for cat tickles. This is how he gets off at the end of the day when he's at Nekon's bar. And seeing this side of him, Usacha is disgusted. He's not the ideal she looked up to. It's only when the girls reach out to her that she learns to accept her brother. So why is this happening now? Well, remember that Pripara loves to set up its major arcs using side characters. At the end of the episode, we meet Fuari, a humble farm girl from the Palps. Fuari joins the girls' school as part of the new Princess Scholarship. She arrives in Japan and wows the girls with her love for nature. She sits in trees, sleeps on hay, and refuses to wear any shoes. Her love for nature aligns her with a classic princess ideal, but if she is the ideal princess, then who is the ideal prince? Meet Shiku and Hibiki, European prince and descendant of the Academy's founder. He's the one behind the Princess Scholarship, because Hibiki loves Pripara, the stage for all girl self-actualization. Hibiki believes that Pripara will produce the ultimate girl, a true princess fit to stand by his side. So he sponsors Fuari and has her trained into a princess worthy of sharing his crown. This arc gets moving and sets up a lot, so pay attention. First up, the Dream Theater's true purpose is to hold the Dream Parade. After 4 seasonal tournaments, the Princess of Seasons will be crowned. Why does this matter? Because the princess gets one wish, anything they want in the world. This is Fuari's sole mission, to form a dream team, become the Princess of Seasons, and to grant Hibiki's wish. So the race is on for the crown. This is in stark opposition to the first season's goal, because this time the girls are pit against each other, not as units, but as individuals, setting the stage for this season's thematic conflict. Fuari struggles to adjust to city life as soon as she arrives. Lala meets her in a tree on her way to school. She climbs up to meet her, and the two become quick friends. Later that day, the girls take Fuari to Pripara, but in a rare twist, none of the existing lovely, cool, and pop brands seem to suit her, so she has to wear a shirt. When it starts to rain, Fuwari sings and dances with the animals. She also befriends a depressed bird who becomes her manager. After watching both teams perform, she goes to bed and says goodnight to her Prix ticket. But it's not her image on the ticket, it's Hibiki's. Fuwari's brand is completed and she performs her debut live, complete with a making drama, Wondrous Spring Orchestra, where she recreates her first day in Pripara, bringing the forest to life through song. It's a beautiful making drama that reflects her personality, but to Hibiki, it's not enough. He sends a subtle message by gifting her a goat, a purple goat. Fuwari's goats are white and represent her pure unfiltered self, but Hibiki's goat is purple, dyed in the prince's color. This is what he wants for Fuwari, to recreate her in his own image. Amid Fuwari's princess lessons, Hibiki finally arrives in Japan and installs himself as acting principal. This comes with an ominous statue that represents his expectations. Impossibly perfect, cold, and unfeeling. He visits Fuwari outside her dorm and takes her out on a date. The two go dancing and have candlelit dinner. After a night of his charms, Fuwari agrees to change. She will become a true princess. The following day, Fuwari wears her glass slippers to school, which wouldn't be a problem until Lala asks her to play. She invites Dressing Parfait to play too, which Xion finds silly but quickly relents to. If Fuwari wants to have fun like she used to, then she'll have to take the heels off. So she does, and the girls run across the field. For the first time in a while, Fuwari feels free. She climbs a tree just like she did when she arrived, and once again, Lala joins her. She's noticed all the progress Fuwari is making, but truth be told, she's always liked Fuwari, even before the princess lessons. This settles Fuwari's mind, so she turns down Hibiki and keeps her making drama, but Hibiki won't allow that. Now that Fuwari's betrayed him, Hibiki sends a group of girls to meet her. Celebrity 4, Seda, Reika, Brittany, and Tina. You have to say it like that, otherwise the pun doesn't work. These are 4 girls worthy of his gaze, and the perfect candidates for Fuwari's dream team. All 4 are drawn as glamorous adults with fancy clothes and makeup, in contrast to Fuwari. When she meets them, she wonders if this is what he wants her to be. Celebrity 4 chases Fuwari throughout Pripara, while the main 6 help her escape. This leads into a pretty fun chase sequence where they run through the forest and fall off a cliff. Sophie and Mide get injured, so they let Fuwari go on with Lala and Dressing Parfait. As the girls float down the river, their charms shine and the system acknowledges their dream team. This is the birth of Dressing Flower. Lala, Fuwari, Leona, Dorothy, and Xion. The girls who reminded her what it meant to play, to run freely, and to truly enjoy being yourself. Dressing Flower forms just in time for the Summer Grand Prix, performing a new song and awakening the summer dream chords. That means that during the Silum Airy, their outfits became the Summer Dream Chord. This is how you know who wins the competition, so keep that in mind. After the Silum Airy, they ring the charm bell, which only grants wishes if you ring all 5. Summer, spring, autumn, winter, and the final bell during the dream parade. So that concludes the first tournament. Fuwari won, with the friends that accepted her all along. When she ran through the field, the white and purple goat ran beside her, because both were worthy and acceptable. The truth is, Fuwari didn't have to change. Pripara would have accepted her either way. Now that she's betrayed Hibiki, Fuwari is certain she's lost her scholarship. She's planning to leave, but the girls ask her what she wants to do. So they all head to Hibiki's office to confront him. At first, he says that she's made her decision, but Fuwari speaks up, asking his permission to stay. Mide brings up a rule his grandfather made, and since he respects tradition, he indulges her, allowing Fuwari to stay at school. As they leave his office, he takes a moment to observe Sophie and Xion. Fuwari moves into the school attic along with her goats, feeling at home in that environment. The girls help her set up before the Dream Team's concert in Pripara. Every time that you win, you get to perform a proper debut right after. and Hibiki seems especially interested in this one. The members of Dressing Flower perform as usual, singing the song, doing the Silum change, and awakening the summer dream outfit. But right at the end, a mysterious man swoops in and steals their dream tickets. This riles up the entire audience, who've never seen a man in Pripara, and for a second, Leona panics. This supports my idea that Leona does view themselves as a boy, or is at the very least aware that they may be perceived that way. Officially, there's usually only one man in Pripara, Megani. While the Meganes come in batches, there's only one Megani per Pripara, whose job it is to support and protect idols. Megani is seen as attractive by most of the cast, including Leona, who makes him Valentine chocolates. They're also a pretty vain character, so they recognize the Phantom Thief's own narcissism. Now, who does that sound like? The Phantom Thief genius, self-titled, unknown to the cast, is obviously Hibiki, on a mission to change Pripara, from a land of friendship to one of pure skill. What would that mean for the idols? And what would that mean for Mide, who didn't make the cut for Dressing Flower? Would she survive in this world? These are the questions we're left with as Hibiki escapes, on his search for a new princess. And when it comes to pure skill, there's only one idol that comes to mind. It's been a while since we brought up Falulu, the girl born in paradise. Since she left Parajuku, she's been traveling with Unicorn collecting other vocal dolls, so when she comes back from Prance, she arrives with her 99 sisters. These are the mini Falulus, but I'll call them the mini dolls, it's just shorter. They're pretty childlike and do whatever Falulu tells them. While they do run amok in Pripara, she's able to calm them with song, all except for one, a black-haired doll that stands alone. Meet Garuru. Usually, vocal dolls are born from love, the shining dream of idolhood given form. But what happens when that dream goes wrong? When girls struggle, fail, and give up? Those feelings took form in Garuru. When it's time to head back to Prance, Garuru runs off and wreaks havoc with Pripara's weather system, which for some reason had a kaiju setting. This is what Garuru feels like. Unable to sing and dance like a normal doll, she can only be a monster. The girl who couldn't. The girl with no voice. According to Falulu, Garuru hates singing and dancing, but I'd argue what she really hates is herself. Imagine carrying the pain of all the failed idols, surrounded by dolls made of love. In a world like Pripara, it's only natural a doll like this would feel othered, would feel like a monster. The monster is merely the visual symbol for her othered nature. As the monster tears through Pripara, the main seven try to calm her down, while Aromageddon revels in the chaos. Out of the cast, the one girl who manages to reach her is Sophie, someone who also struggled to find her voice. Sophie understands what it's like to feel useless. While it's not direct, early on, the whole monster thing is analogous to disability. It's very different, but there are similarities. In a scene much like her team formation, Sophie runs to the rooftop to shield Garuru from the rubble, but she's out of stamina, so she collapses. Her fan club fly a helicopter to bring her Red Flash, but in a stunning act of compassion, Sophie gives it to Garuru instead. This is what convinces Garuru of her own worth, as she coughs up a bug that was keeping her silent, metaphorically, the self-hate she had within her. Finally seeing her own value, Garuru finds the words to speak, and the monster fades. Perhaps there's nothing wrong with being monstrous, and even girls like her with no talent belong on stage. Now this was all very touching, but once again, why would they introduce this character right now? The cynical answer, well, they had no money for a new CG model, so they made a character who could reuse an old one. But the honest answer is that this is a counter-argument to everything that Hibiki said. Garuru leaves with her sisters and vows to debut as an idol, because even a doll born of failure deserves to sing. As summer comes to an end, the main six go to the pool to relax. While they're still chasing the Phantom, they take some time to cool off. Now pay attention. While the twins are wearing matching hoodies, Dorothy's in a bikini, while Leona wears shorts. Just shorts and a hoodie. This is one of the few times we see Leona in male clothing and shows their comfort with their male body. Now, of course, male clothing is not the perfect term, but I think you get what I mean. When the two climb up to the diving board, they encounter Love, another controversial figure. So put simply, Love is a character from season 1 who felt too masculine to enter Pripara. She was tall and broad-shouldered with a deep voice and short hair. Now, when Love entered Pripara, her hair became floor length and her strong features made her model-esque. In that episode, there was a parallel between her and Sophie, showing that the parts of ourselves we don't like or that others don't like might be appreciated elsewhere. Now we're caught up. Pripara tries to show that different body types are beautiful. For example, Sophie's bodyguard Chanko is shown modeling as a gravure idol and clearly finds herself attractive. This opinion is shared by the world, as in this episode, Chanko is swarmed by photographers while posing on a pool bed. She's the series' only fat character, and we could unpack the whole sumo reference gravure idol thing, but we're really in the weeds now. Back to Love. Dorothy walks up to her to ask what she's holding, and Love dives in the pool. Putting two and two together, clearly Love is the Phantom Thief. She's a masculine person with a deep voice and was clearly hiding the dream cards. Dorothy chases Love and tries to grab what she's hiding, but Hibiki spots them and interrupts. As acting principal, he suggests they settle this through tennis. The twins and Amamiya versus Love, who is Amamiya, Mire's creepy fanboy. Moving on. The twins lose badly, but Dorothy won't give up, so Hibiki says that he'll face them all. His serves overwhelm the group as Love carries the team. Hibiki is impressed, asking Love if she's a prodigy. But when faced with that question, Love can't move, forcing Leona to stop the serve. A gust of wind blows out Love's secret, revealing the cards to be pictures of her coach, Nishiki Goi. The whole thing is a card pun, and I find his character pretty silly overall. Love's coach is off to Wimbledon and wants her to come, but Love isn't ready. She's not ready to fly. Giving Love a crush storyline makes her pretty dynamic. Initially, Love was presented as an intimidating masked girl, then in her second appearance, a cute one, afraid to explore her femininity. But through Pripara, she gets the chance to be a glamorous model. And the story doesn't stop there. In season 2 and 3, Love brings her athletic side into Pripara, acting as a training coach for various idols. This is one of my favorite characters, and I feel that the discourse doesn't fully grasp what they were going for. Love is a girl who was allowed to be both masculine and feminine, and while the initial transformation is quite drastic, the show goes out of its way to show more feminine aspects of her real life and more masculine aspects of her Pripara life. It's not perfect, but it is a lot better than it seems at first. Now, what about the tennis match? What was Hibiki truly looking for? Well, we're about to find out. Prodigies are defined by their ability to fly, and given the season's theme, that's quite appropriate. While a mere human might be able to jump, a prodigy makes flight seem effortless. So Hibiki sets his sights on the most talented characters in the cast. So far, that would be Sophie, the perfect idol, and Shion, the god of Go. From a young age, Sophie has loved to dance, but due to her disability, she can only do it with the help of a red flash, a pickled red plum that gives her energy. So one day, Hibiki makes his way to her apartment and gives her a special celebrity flash, keeping her cool all day long. Her exhaustion fades and she decides to make full use of this energy by performing the most number of concerts in a row. The current record is 5, but Sophie will aim for 10, and to honor this, Megane agrees to make her divine idol rank should she complete them. She shares her goal with the girls who are happy to stand beside her. And while they start off strong, by the 5th round, Mire and Lala can't keep up. Sophie attempts to keep going but quickly collapses. Hibiki is satisfied and makes his decision. He will make Sophie his next princess. Shion's debut left a pretty big impact. Having conquered the world of Go, she sought a new throne, that of idolhood, and along the way, she made dressing parfait, standing beside Dorothy and Leona. We never covered their Team Siloam episode, so now is a good time for that. After losing to Falalu, one of Shion's rivals said she went soft. A glamorous woman with a big hairdo. Meet Kagawa Iroha, the second best player in the world. In the world of Go, Itaha respected Xion for her lone wolf behavior, but now Xion looks weak enough to lose to her. True to herself, Xion rejects this challenge. She's focused on Pripara and won't be distracted, so Itaha meets her there, turning their match into a live idol broadcast. Within Pripara, Ito has a lot more plain, bearing her true self to Xion. It's a great parallel to Xion, who refused to change for anyone. Initially, Xion struggles in the match, and this makes Dorothy wonder if Itoha is right, if maybe being part of their team did make her soft. But with her team's pride on the line, Xion can see another perspective, one that she might not have considered alone. Meeting the twins did change her by expanding her perspectives. There's things only the three of them could do together. Through Dorothy, she learned to respect stubbornness, as it was Dorothy's stubbornness that led her to win the match. And through Leona, she learned to respect softness, as Leona's kindness keeps the group together. The twins have changed her world, but perhaps that change is for the better. Now in Season 2, Hibiki sets his sights on Xion. At first, he sends her a poem, which Xion interprets as a challenge. The two test each other's abilities through Kendo, Judo, and finally, Go. Even when the board is knocked over, she recreates it perfectly, demonstrating her perfect memory. Upon seeing this, Hibiki declares her a true prodigy and asks her to consider her future, something he feels that she's forgotten. Xion meets him again at a festival. Ignoring the twins' request to help at their stand, she joins Hibiki and his helicopter. And up in the air, Xion can see an even wider perspective. Despite aiming for the top, Xion was happy to play along with her rivals. It seems that she's lost her competitive edge. In Hibiki's words, she must return to the battlefield. So Xion performs her very first solo concert. It's a pretty good song and her rank increases. After the show, the twins support her, but Sophie looks up with awe. Some part of her wants this too. Perhaps she too forgot how good it feels to fly. Slowly but surely, Hibiki's making his perfect team while tearing existing teams apart. But as autumn arrives, an unusual threat emerges. The autumn arc of Pripara is the funniest the show ever gets. It's also the reason it went untranslated. See, Pripara's dialogue at this point was mostly sentences packed with puns. However, in Japanese, you can end your sentence with a certain sound known as a gobi. Mide ends their sentences with Prix. Aromageddon end their sentences with Devi and Jedu. And Ajimi, our newest character, speaks entirely in art puns. From start to finish, every line crams in as many artist names as possible into Japanese. Hibiki hates this. He hates gobis, but he especially hates Ajimi. Ajimi's debut is explosive. She charges into Pripara, painting everything around her and taking the girls by storm. She's a massive ball of energy who some fans rate as neurodivergent, but that's not my domain, so I'll leave it at that. Despite her appearance, Ajimi's actually 22 and starts working as the girls' art teacher. A minor detail from Season 1 is that Cosmo designs the xylem chords, and wouldn't you know it, she and Ajimi met in art school, all the way in Prix. That's actually why she came here, to face off against her rival. The two compete with their designs. It's got Dorothy and Mikon, cause everyone else is busy. Lala offers to MC, and the contest starts. The designs are pretty strong, but after several rounds, both girls are exhausted with no clear winner. So Mikon, the greedy child, interprets this as hunger, and the girls make them a rice omelet. This meal reminds the girls of their times in college, when they would often cook each other meals. The match ends in a tie, but both are satisfied, determined to win the next one. Ajimi and Cosmo meet backstage to eat the girls' omurice, and unsurprisingly, there's 5 girls, so the charms shine. This is a new dream team. Once again, the girls are divided, but this time, they were prepared. The leftovers shake it off and make their own team. In the midst of all this, Fuari's goats give birth, which feels pretty random till you remember what they represent. Fuari's white goat gives birth to triplets, sired by Hibiki's purple one. The newborn goats feature both colors in multiple combinations. This represents the new possibilities achieved together. By combining opposing ideals, new possibilities emerge. just like the Dream Team concept. The Autumn Grand Prix is won by Ajimi's team, named Cosmic Omorice Da Vinci, a chaotic mix of loud characters fooling around on stage. And this is Hibiki's limit. At the debut concert, the Phantom appears, and just like that, the tickets are gone. Now that she's met the Phantom, Ajimi forms the Pripara police, Lala, Dorothy, and Mikon. I feel like they just put the funniest, loudest characters together because they don't get much done. During one of their chases, Lala confronts him in a Casablanca room. Meeting her one-on-one, Hibiki is forced to consider her actual talent. So far, he's considered her a childish idiot, but then again, this girl did bring Falulu back to life. And wouldn't you know it, Falulu is on her way back from Prance. The night of her arrival, Falulu sings Galulu to sleep, then sits quietly in her bedroom. After all, she's the only person in Pripara now. Everyone else has a real life to get back to. Her window blows open and the masked Phantom appears. Unicorn told her not to talk to strangers, but when he fixes her toy doll, she opens up to him. As a token of gratitude, Falulu offers him flowers, something from the real world. But instead, Hibiki wants something fake, a play romance with another girl. He dances with Falulu in the moonlight, asking to be her only one. He calls himself the Magic Man of Pripara, so Falulu calls him Maho-chan, and on his request, she keeps their meeting a secret. But all these appearances have been leaving clues, and little by little, Mire's been putting them together. Why did the Phantom appear after the Summer Grand Prix, right after Fuwari rebelled? And why is he so vain? There's only one person Mire knows that fits the description. But Mire is a little too late, because that very day, Hibiki marches straight into Pripara, in broad daylight. The crowd around him is massive. He charms all the women and makes his way on stage. This will be the prince's debut, but not before one more announcement. Hibiki reveals her birth certificate. The woman before you is the Prince of Pripara. The crowd is shocked, but Hibiki persists, performing a legendary debut concert. And at the end, she takes flight, despite not being in the Dream Theater, despite not having a dream team. These are the wings of an individual, their golden sheen proof of her power. No one even knew this was possible, that one could take flight alone. In the air, Hibiki dyes all the fan lights in her color, and by the next performance, she doesn't have to. The concert captures Shion and Sophie. They want to fight it, but who could? Seeing Hibiki's wings, they yearn to fly with her. So what does Hibiki want? What does she do this for? To restore Pripara to its former glory. As it stands, not a single divine idol has been born yet, but with Hibiki's help, the girls have been quickly improving. Hibiki wants to make Pripara better. She loves Pripara, but as it stands, the world needs a revolution, and that's why she's doing all this. As the sworn protector of the girls' dreams, Megane postpones her arrest till the Winter Grand Prix. That is when Pripara's fate will be decided. Before we continue, I'd like to acknowledge Hibiki's gender, specifically the way that Hibiki refers to themselves, portrays themselves, and feels comfortable being referred to. In episode 73, Hibiki reveals that she was born a girl, and this is a fact that she is comfortable with. She also hates being feminine, refusing to ever wear female clothing. Throughout the series, she only makes effort to seduce girls and is shown to be repulsed by the sight of Megane's body. Based on this, I will use both he and she pronouns due to the character's comfort with being perceived as both male and female depending on the context. While you might think her character is similar to Leona's, their relationship to gender is actually quite different. In episode 74, Leona sneaks onto Hibiki's set for a stage production of Night of Prix. The episode centers a very queer manga while placing Hibiki and Leona on a stage where they read a script and play a role. It's not subtle. The play's script positions Hibiki as a woman raised as a man due to family circumstances, a pretty generic concept, but Hibiki throws the script away to speak for herself. She believes that the entire world is a stage. The stage is a metaphor for gender, where Hibiki and Leona are cast in certain roles, but they're free to discard the scripts that come along with that. When Hibiki asks Leona why she dresses as a woman, She states her identity as fact. This is who she is. So while the two are quite similar, they're also very different. Leona's identity is an expression of how they naturally feel, but Hibiki's is a little more ambiguous. It's a role, but that doesn't make it any less real. This is one of the Pretty series' strongest points in identity. We are who we pretend to be. So what if she was born a girl? Does that rob her of the right to be a man? Some people aren't lucky enough to get the body they want. That's why Pripara lets you change it. There isn't a real Lala and a fake Lala, a Minami and a Mide. Even Falulu, who is an ideal of womanhood, is allowed to become a real girl worthy of her own voice. There are no fake women within the story. Femininity, girlhood, and belonging are extended to all. So let's get back to the main story. The formation of Hibiki's prodigy team tears apart our main units. From Salami's smile, he picks Sophie, who soars past her teammates in practice. Seeing her superior skill, the girls allow her to fly free. From dressing parfait, he picks Shion, who wants to see how high she can go. Finally, he's joined by Falulu, who effortlessly performs her own golden airy. That only leaves one slot and 6 girls left: Lala, Mide, the twins, and Aromageddon. The final member is settled on Christmas Eve. A young girl makes her friend a mitten because she's moving away, but unfortunately, a crow steals it. The girls are going to be separated, have their friendship tested, and hope that they can overcome the distance. Using a hang glider, Mikan flies off a building to reach the mitten, prompting Hibiki to note her athletic skill. Perhaps she's not as useless as she seemed. Watching her fly through the air, he makes his final pick, and that Christmas Eve, the charms make their selection: the Celapara Theater, led by Hibiki, and Frendal, led by Lala. The battle for Pripara's fate has begun. While Lala's team trains together, Hibiki's team indulges in fine art. The girls are taken to view the greatest movies in the world: The Sound of Music, James Bond, Star Wars, and the Titanic. To Hibiki, effort is unbecoming, and thus, they will only practice together once. The choice to base their performance on movies highlights Hibiki's preference for superficial bonds over real connection. While Lala's concept is a charming magic show, Hibiki's concept is an all-out theatric production. In any other season, Hibiki would have lost. But this time, he's leading a team of prodigies, 5 actors embodying Pripara's beauty. It's a subtle detail, but each of these girls embodies one part of Hibiki. Her desire for perfection is carried in Falulu, her competitive streak in Shion, her immense talent in Sophie, and Mikan, that's a little complicated. The performance is a major hit, with all 5 attaining Golden Airy and ringing the charm bell of dreams. Celapara's victory absolves Hibiki of her crimes and grants her full control of the system. Megane surrenders his glasses as Hibiki remakes the world in his image. This will be the dawn of Celapara. The new world takes the form of a giant castle. Celapara welcomes opulence, beauty, and most of all, a clear hierarchy. All idols below top rank are banned from performing, and ticket snapping across ranks is discouraged. To Hibiki's credit, most people are happy to watch elite performers every day, but the news tears Frendal apart, since every girl has a unit member who's now under Hibiki. Mide has it the worst. At the start of the show, she saw Sophie as above them, and even now, as fellow idols, she can't help but notice things. That Sophie performed the most lives in a row, that Sophie was chosen by Hibiki, that even in their group practice, Sophie soars with no effort. When Hibiki made her debut, it was Mide who wagered her arrest on the next Grand Prix, only to lose and set him free. Hibiki herself views Mide as the weakest link in Frendal, a worthless idol whose success amounts to gimmicks. Celapara is one of the best arcs because it gets to the heart of Pripara's themes. How can inclusion coexist with hierarchy? In Hibiki's world, it can't, so he draws a clear line between the prodigies and the rest. A line between Sophie and Mide, a line between Shion and the twins, a line between Faruru and Garuru, a line between Mikan and Aroma. Only those who can cross that line will attain the Golden Airy, golden wings that prove one's ability to fly above the rest. So without those wings, the girls will never get Pripara back. Feeling the most to blame, Mide decides to give up on being an idol. This is a pretty big deal. Without her, Lala might have never come to Pripara. It makes sense to center the conflict in our original trio. So what will it take to get her back? Well, with every regime change, resistance finds its root. Just as Salapara created the elite, they also created the outsiders, and some of those girls would do anything for the chance to stand on stage. Following a growth spurt, Garuda returns from Pripari to perform her debut live. She's eager to get to it, but the new Meganez inform her that her rank's too low. The girls take her to Nekon's bar, which has slowly become a hub for all the rejects. The fired mascots, the low-rank idols, and surprisingly, Megane. This is where he lives now. There's a pretty fun rivalry between him and Hibiki, especially in this era where he sits on benches and allegedly even eats bird food. Anyway, Nekon tells him that he's failing to support the idols, so he finds an old stage that wasn't updated. This is the birth of Chikapara, an underground paradise for all rejected idols. It's also where Garuda performs her terrible debut live. Lala drags Mide to watch, who has no faith in Garuda. She fears that such a public failure will only damage her confidence, but Garuda's not that weak. Despite stumbling throughout the performance, she gets up each and every time. And Mide is shocked, start to finish. She'd never seen someone so bad, so ill-suited to idolhood. But Garuda's sheer effort inspires her. Hibiki said that latent potential mattered more than effort, and for a second, Mide believed her. But seeing Garuda's debut live changes that. Perhaps effort isn't worthless at all. She makes amends with Sophie and decides to face her at the Spring Grand Prix. This time, she's sure that effort will win. Now you might be wondering what Ajimi's been doing all this time. Well, she's been investigating Hibiki ever since her debut. While she didn't catch the Phantom Thief, she did recognize her because Ajimi's met Hibiki before, all the way back in Persai. Growing up, Hibiki was a cheerful, wealthy girl, and Ajimi was a random stranger who stole fruit from her trees. Ajimi would watch as young Hibiki played freely in the lawn. It should be noted that Hibiki still wore feminine clothing, but was also comfortable in masculine roles, as seen in the school play where she played a prince. Something else I noticed is how embodied this Hibiki is. She's dirty and runs barefoot. This is a freedom we never see teenage Hibiki express. By the time we meet her, she's clearly reserved and only lets out this side as the Phantom. I'm sure we could dig into the implications of Hibiki's bodily restraint, but we don't have the time. What's more important is how similar this girl is to Fuwari. It's not a stretch to say that Fuwari resembles everything Hibiki used to be. The two are represented by the white goat and the purple goat, untouched purity and nobility, so it's fitting that Hibiki's childhood dress is white. The purity Hibiki saw in Fuwari is something she once had, a complete freedom of expression, a connection to the world around her, perhaps not through animals, but through people. Hibiki is rather self-obsessed and surrounds himself with those who are similar, so that's why in her dream team, Mikan has a whole sequence dedicated to Sound of Music, a sequence likely intended for Fuwari, a sequence that resembles Hibiki's childhood, the last time she was carefree. So where did this girl go? Well, one day, Hibiki's parents left for a cruise, but their ship got caught in the Bermuda Triangle. The news left Hibiki devastated, but even worse, all her staff and friends abandoned her, taking with them all her possessions. Hibiki thought she had friends, but once she was poor, her old friends didn't want her. Now this would be sad enough, but shortly after, Hibiki's parents were discovered alive. Then all of her friends and staff came back. This moment shattered Hibiki's belief in friendship. Overnight, she went from popular to unpopular to popular once again. Noticing Hibiki's loneliness, Ajimi tried to reach out, but her intense energy simply put him off. And this is why Hibiki hates sentence enders, because a random girl who used to say them followed him all over Europe. When Hibiki gets her iconic hairstyle, he says, "I like you," becoming a new person. So that's how Hibiki lost faith in friendship. The following scene is one of the most important in the series. That day, at sunset, Falalu talks to Hibiki. She notes that despite creating Salapara, he doesn't seem very happy. So Hibiki opens up. creating Celipara was merely the first step. Her true dream is far greater. Hibiki will become a vocal doll, just like her. Abandoning the outside world full of lies, Hibiki will become a being of pure ideal. The vocal doll is positioned as the ultimate girl, carrying the wishes of all those around her. In a sense, they are Pripara, and this is how Hibiki sees herself, the true embodiment of Pripara. Under her watchful guidance, all the idols had to rank up and attain feats previously unseen. By making Celipara, she has dyed the world in her own color. But just then, a phantom appears in the window. It's his reflection, but it's also his shadow. The phantom thief runs off, and surprise, surprise, it's Fuari, the symbol of Hibiki's repressed expression and connection to the outside world, quite literally in her case. I used to hate Fuari, but she jumped up the ranking when I figured out she's meant to parallel Hibiki. I mean, this is one of the best duos in the entire series. There's also a subtle message about Hibiki's gender. In interviews, Hibiki has been described as neither male nor female, so it makes sense that they would embody both ideal prince and princess. Moving on. Hibiki's butler rushes to tell the girls of this news, and they resolve to stop him. After all, the real world is a critical part of Pripara. That's where the girls come from, what inspires their making drama, what brought a doll to life. What Hibiki is trying to achieve is complete alienation. If the doll is the girl's ideal, and the vocal doll a reflection of that, then what does a vocal doll that was once human represent? What is an image without a subject? Hibiki's transformation would be a complete dissolution of self, and funnily enough, this is what's captured by his making drama. In Hibiki's solo performance, he shatters his own heart, leaving behind an image in stained glass. At first, this seemed innocuous, but looking back, this is a really tragic character arc. Hibiki wants to disappear. The pain of betrayal was so great that she can no longer see her own place in the real world. The end of the making drama doesn't feature a person, only a larger-than-life image bathed in heavenly light. It might not be obvious, but Hibiki's trust issues have completely destroyed her ability to form human connections. But worst of all, they've severed her connection to herself. This is what's behind her self-destructive actions, and why Lala seems so distressed by her decision. The choice to become a vocal doll is treated with intense seriousness, and this is because it's a much deeper pain than they can freely depict. Even without this reading, it still represents the destruction of self for the sake of an ideal. It's akin to one's own death. So Lala and friends are spurred into action. Even if Hibiki won't believe in friendship, they will believe in her and in their ability to befriend her. What follows is a short training arc where Mire works hard toward her own golden Eri. If even the weakest idol can work her way to stardom, then maybe Hibiki will take them seriously. Her efforts pay off, and when she flies above the crowd, proving that effort can't keep up with talent, Hibiki allows Friendall to compete at the Spring Grand Prix. This will be their final chance to save her. Right before the Spring Grand Prix, Mikan leaves the Celipara Theater. This leaves an open slot which Hibiki gives to Leona. The two had interacted a few times at the tennis match and the theater play, but now they'd get to stand together on stage. Dorothy's pretty bummed out about it, but Leona's resolute. Through her efforts, Dorothy sees that the little brother she once protected is all grown up. Leona gets them a new song, and together they both attain Golden Eri. Now all 10 girls are ready for the Spring Dream Grand Prix. Unlike before, both the tryhards and the prodigies practice. Hibiki does it alone, but even she knows that mere talent won't win. On the eve of the Grand Prix, Fuari visits Falalu as the Phantom Natural to discuss Hibiki's wish. So far, Falalu's been unbothered by it. After all, they'd both be dolls, and Fuari understands that she's probably lonely in Pripara. But she asks Falalu to think of the flowers. The beautiful flowers that only bloom in the real world. Now it's finally time for the Spring Dream Grand Prix. Around the Pripara land is one of the best performances in the franchise. 10 idols racing through the air to reach the charm bell. Lala's team are dressed as hitchhikers traveling on foot, while Hibiki's team are styled after private jets. Even aesthetically, the teams are separate. When the Siloom change happens, all 10 achieve a Golden Eri, but the spring cord doesn't glow, so a winner hasn't been chosen. The race is on for the charm bell. As they take off, Lala and Falalu are left behind. Hibiki takes on Sophie and Shion, beating them easily. While he respects them as rivals, they've still got a long way to go. What strikes me is that he genuinely enjoys competing with them. As he looks down, he ponders if he might even consider them friends. But he casts the thought aside and performs a platinum airy, bearing wings so strong that they can't keep up. High above, he relishes in his own victory, until Falalu catches up with her own platinum airy. While he's happy to see her, this turns to shock when Falalu drags him down. She cries out and begs him to remain human, to see the beauty in the outside world. Reluctantly, Hibiki takes her hands off him. As Falalu falls, she begs Lala to stop him, so Lala flies as fast as her wings will carry her. But Hibiki sends her flying, with a gust of wind as he takes off for the charm bell. So everyone comes together to catch Lala, using their effort to launch her up. Lala soars with the feelings of all her friends within her. As she catches up to him, she begs Hibiki to stop, and this passion manifests the final airy, rainbow wings born of collective effort. This is what allows her to reach the charm bell, bringing it before Hibiki. So Friendall wins, and Lala is crowned the Princess of Seasons. Hibiki kneels in defeat and retorts that friendship can't exist. It can't, because if friendship is Pripara, then that means the very place he looked up to was open to him all along. This is a recurring theme. Hibiki's tragedy is a deeply layered self-hatred. Rather than accepting Lala's friendship or a place in the world, she sought to dye it in her own color because she didn't believe she'd have a place in it otherwise. Her childhood experience taught her that she didn't belong, and so she sought to recreate the world in a way that would only accept people like her, bypassing the need to be approved of and becoming the approver. This is what she believed Pripara could be, a stage upon which idols could prove their worth. But Lala's view of Pripara was as a stage for all girls, even girls like Hibiki. Lala was more than willing to accept him, so was Falalu, potentially the whole of Pripara. But now, the damage is done. The system starts to crash following overload from Celapara, and this fallout makes Hibiki's wish come true, turning Pripara into a place without any friendship. When Lala wakes up, she finds herself in a strange Pripara, where units, pre-tickets, and Falalu don't exist. The girls walk past each other like strangers. You'd think Hibiki would like this, but she holds out her hand instead, holding on to something long forgotten. At first, Hibiki is pleased, enjoying the silence of solitude, but looking down into the lake, a ripple distorts her image. This episode has lots of subtle storytelling. Without friendship, Mire doesn't have a persona, losing the social aspect of her personality. They spot Sophie floating down a lake and choose to help her, and by working together and helping someone, Mire regains her memories, just like when they saved Sophie from her evil manager. They sing the song they wrote about friendship to help jog Sophie's memory. During this scene, the twins stare blankly at their reflection, almost like there's someone missing, someone who looks a lot like the person in the mirror. Sophie joins her friends on stage, and soon, so does Dressing Parfait. Everyone remembers friendship, and the whole of Pripara starts to fix itself. The mascots return, Falalu awakens, and finally, Hibiki remembers Fuari. He cries out to her, but the system tries to erase him, trapping Hibiki in a black hole. In a fun role reversal, the princess saves him from falling, but to make matters worse, Ajami falls in with them. This is a part of the system's reboot, erasing all of Celapara, including Hibiki. Now, it should be obvious what happens next. Everyone gathers in the Dream Theater and performs the final live. Using the seasonal chords, as well as the 5 charm bells, a miracle happens and Hibiki is saved, because Pripara accepts everyone, even those who don't believe in friendship. Hibiki acknowledges her loss and promises to keep working for Pripara's future. The season ends with a really cute performance from him and Fuari. Fuari gets a bad rap for being boring, and I know she doesn't do much in the second half, but she's best understood as a foil for Hibiki. Together they perform a silly-making drama and leave for Pripari with Falalu. Ajami stays behind to teach at school, but if you ask me, it's because the voice actress was around for, reasons. Garudu stays behind too to spend time with Aromageddon. So that was the Dream Parade arc of Pripara. It's probably the strongest of the main three. Hibiki is a really captivating villain because he's such an unstoppable force. If Lala represents total inclusion through friendship, then Hibiki is the exclusionary elite who longs for a mythic past. It's not lost on me that the villain of a princess-themed arc is a European aristocrat who seeks to restore the nation's former glory. Hibiki's defeat cedes another point against hierarchy in favor of inclusion. Now that Pripara is restored, Meganee can get back to business, attending a worldwide summit with the other Meganese. The agenda? To choose a venue for the Divine Idol Grand Prix. Somewhere in the heavens, a child can be heard crying. What does it mean to be divine? The Divine Idol rank has been the goal since Season 1, but what does it actually mean? Divinity is a major theme in the Prix series, appearing in every season of Pretty Rhythm. The divine is that which has no place in the world, existing without family, without friendship. These women are gifted with extreme talent, but often that comes at the cost of human connection. Their lives are lonely, and their feats unbeatable. The introduction of a god in Pripara should be no surprise to long-term fans. But what did surprise me is that it's a baby. In the past, motherhood was a way for the divine to prove their humanity, finally attaining what was out of reach, a human connection so strong that they would sacrifice themselves for its sake. But in Pripara, the baby goes to Lala. This minor change is part of a massive shift in the series' ideology. Whereas previously the divine were held as the standard, through this mother and child setup, the humanity of girls is held up as a standard that the goddess must achieve. With that thematic framework laid out, we're finally ready to talk about Season 3. In many ways, Pripara Season 3 is a large step down. While the second season had big personalities and lots of character gags, the third is a lot slower. The setups are mundane, and it's hard to talk about until the end. Pripara Season 3 is saying something, cohesively even, but it takes a long time to get there. Let's break down the first episode. As expected, the first episode reintroduces Pripara. Lala's on her way to Pripara when she spots a shy girl outside the gate. This girl is Chidi. She's got a lot of passion but can't bring herself to go in. Chidi spends all day with Lala watching the girls' performances, and so does the audience who might not know these characters. As night falls, the system undergoes an update, entering Divine Idol mode. This is the result of the Meganee Summit, a conference meant to decide the location of the next Divine Grand Prix. Every Meganee made a case for their Pripara, but Parajuku won because they had Lala. While Pripari's Meganee brought up the Europe trio, our Meganee brought up Lala, the embodiment of Pripara's friendship, going so far as to make Chidi feel welcome. This settled the matter, with the whole room conceding to Meganee. So Parajuku undergoes an update, giving the girls new toys, mics, and in the process, Lala spots a floating light descending. She falls into the forest where a radiant baby falls into her arms. This baby is Jururu, a mysterious child that lives in the Rosette Pact. Jururu's arrival is a grave mistake. According to the Meganees, the goddess of Pripara was meant to arrive and usher in a new system, but instead, a baby fell into a child's arms. This is one of the strangest decisions made in the story thus far. So far, all the seasonal setups have been relatable to the young audience. But why make the elementary schooler a mother? While it makes sense thematically, this is blatantly the most promotional season. Now look, my entire channel is based on anime that sell toys, but the product placement this season is really bad. Everything grinds to a halt so we can look at the new toy. The first episode left a sour impression, and so did what followed. The start of this season is plagued with scene after scene of boring childcare, which is hardly remarkable. This seems to be due to what I'm calling final season syndrome. While the first season set up the cast, Season 2 explored their very cores, tackling the natural tensions between Solami Smile, a unit comprising a lucky amateur, a struggling pop star, and a girl who could dance from birth. With these tensions resolved, there's not much left to cover. Lala's already a prime candidate for divine idolhood, So capable, even the Mega Knees acknowledge her. So what does Season 3 have to offer? Well, all of that comes from our second main character, the girl who we just met. It's time to talk about Chidi. While Lala struggles to raise Jururu, she eventually learns that she loves idols, so she performs in Pripara to entertain her. And at the end of that performance, she's dragged up into a heavenly cradle. Julie appears in her full glory and gives her a super Xylem cord, the ticket to take part in the Divine Grand Prix. The message is simple. The ideal divine idol is a selfless one, and this is how the main characters gain their own, by spending time with the baby and proving their selflessness. Throughout their time together, Jururu learns to love them. Goddess loves girl. But what if there was a goddess who didn't want all that? One who saw humanity as weaker, subordinate beings. Not beings to learn from, but beings to teach. That is the case for her younger sister, the goddess whose name is Janice. During the update, Chidi was bestowed with a celebrity jewel. Every character has an idol jewel that corresponds to their type, and this one completely transforms her, turning the shy girl into a proud, refined celebrity. In her own words, that day was a blessing, revealing her true potential. Shortly after, a rosette pact floated toward her, and almost instinctively, she knelt down. This is when she met Janice. Janice might be a baby too, but she's retained her full consciousness. This allows her to boss Chidi into following her route to divine idolhood. Unlike her sister, Janice can't select divine idols because she doesn't get the magical goddess tact. The tact only comes out when they get the super Xylems, so it's up to Chidi to attain one, but she can't do it alone. Non has a pretty major role in Season 3. She steps up to main character level and takes on 3 idol personas, Junon, Pinon, and Kanon. Each of these is designed for max appeal and based on previous characters. Junon embodies Xion's stoicism and Sophie's cryptic sayings. Pinon has Ajimi and Mide's energy, and Kanon, well, she's based on her big sister. The 3 girls make up Triangle, a unit that perform the same making drama, Secret Wonderful Scope, where a single girl turns into 3. But remember, these are not 3 girls, but 3 images, reflections of idols before them. While it's quite fascinating, this becomes their fatal weakness. When pit against Salami Smile and Dressing Parfait, Triangle comes in 3rd place, partially because their expression is lacking. Non's personas are shallow. The 3rd season really centers imitation. Non imitates better idols. A shy Chidi imitated Lala, and Janice believes that idols exist to be taught, frivolous beings who can only ape the goddess's greatness. The idol jewels are a pretty fun new mechanic. During one episode, the girls switch jewels and take on new personalities. It's clearly in good fun, but it does raise some good thematic questions. While it's not directly stated, it's implied that Janice had a hand in Chidi receiving a celebrity jewel, and Jururu had a direct hand in Non receiving 3 idol jewels. But what does it say that one openly embraces her new role while the other rejects it? Following her loss to the main 6, Non abandons Triangle and embraces an earnest idol persona. This is the version of Non that's rewarded, the one that isn't trying so hard. But Chidi doesn't change back. She retains both personas, Chidi the shy girl and Chidi the celebrity. This is a perfect reflection of both goddesses' ideologies. Julie believes that idols are fine as they are, worthy of paradise and a chance at divine idolhood. But Janice does not. She sees idols as something to be elevated into divinity. Now, if you've made it this far into the video, you can probably tell these 2 characters are gonna form a unit. But what about their 3rd member? If only their 3rd new character was half as good. When Fuari returns from Pripari, the girls all get a distress call from the African savannah, wherever that is. Upon arrival, they meet darker versions of existing characters. This is where we learn that we're actually in Nairobi. I'm gonna call it Nairobi, I'm sorry, which looked like this at the time of the series airing. The African Pripara is run down and populated by animals, so Fuari performs for the people, and a small girl watches on a giraffe. Later on, all the animals in Pripara disappear, having been kidnapped by Pepper, who initiates a drum circle and chants over a mascot roast. Pepper is depicted as a barefoot, wild, incoherent black girl. Now the easy response is to cite ignorance, but that's not true. Pripara does have accurate depictions of black people, even black people in Pepper's specific culture. We'll get into it more on the Patreon, but Pepper was a choice, an intentional one. The series knew better, but simply did worse. It's more than capable of depicting people from this ethnic group with accurate skin tones, outfits, and hair, but Pepper is a terrible, terrible decision. And her writing betrays a real dishonesty from the writing team. Characters like Ajimi and Aroma are meant to help children interact with people like that. For example, some kids are just really focused on one topic, like art, and some kids like to roleplay as supernatural beings. But Pepper doesn't fulfill that same need. She's not very marketable because nobody acts like this. They already had a monstrous character in Garuru, but Pepper only exists to be a gross and scary primitive girl. No one in the target demo knows someone like this, because girls like this don't exist in Japan. I'm not sure they exist anywhere. To put the nail in the coffin, the final version of Pepper is a far cry from the initial concept decided. This was not the plan. Once again, we'll unpack that on Patreon. By how much jumping around I've had to do between arcs, you can tell this was not the best written season. A lot of concepts were moving around, and the result is a very mushy season of inconsistent quality. Anyway, Pepper is introduced as the final member of Non's soon-to-be trio, Non-Sugar. The formation takes up the bulk of the first half. While Non is happy to team up, Chidi can't stand Pepper. This tension comes to a head when the group is stranded on a desert island as part of a game show. Non is working hard to keep them alive by fetching water and makes a bed with Pepper's help. The two adjust to life in the wild while Chidi panics. Non offers her food, but she won't eat food someone else has touched. When Non is carried off, Chidi and Pepper must work together to save her. And seeing Pepper feel genuine fear inspires Chidi to protect her. This act brings the team together, allowing them to form officially. They also debut a new making drama where they embrace the wilderness, symbolically embracing Pepper too. It should be noticed that their first making drama was all about luxury, aka Chidi. This growth gives both girls super silums, making them candidates for divinity. The arc hinging on Pepper's acceptance is sweet, but doesn't undo the damage of her character. The choice to dehumanize a human girl in a show about affirming them is one of the bigger stains on the series' legacy. Now that we've explored the new characters, let's get to what we're all here for, the final tournament arc. The rules of the Divine Grand Prix are quite simple. Girls must compete in teams of 3, and all must receive a super silum. This pushes the unofficial units to finally hold their team ceremonies. First up is the formation of Garumageddon. Aroma and Mikan are childhood friends, and due to her creative background, Aroma designs a whole brand this season. That's nice. I'm glad she got to do something in season 3. The two were always amused by Garuru, who shared their love for chaos. But despite loving her company, they're worried about trading tickets. After all, we all know what happened last time. Garuru interprets this as rejection, fearing that she's not good enough for them. But the girls work hard to disprove this, gathering lucky items to guarantee a safe ceremony. She snaps her ticket, and nothing happens, which is played for humor but somewhat explained. Unlike Falulu, Garuru was born of such strong feelings that she's fundamentally different than other vocal dolls. Cool. The next team formation is Tricolores, comprising Hibiki, Fuari, and Falulu. Their major hurdle is getting Hibiki to acknowledge friendship, the first line of the chant. Before a team is officially recognized, Hibiki must promise to believe in friendship. But that word, that feeling, it carries too much pain, so the team's formation is postponed. Weeks later, the mascots start to chew out Hibiki for holding her unit back. While he's trying his best, he can't tell a lie. So Hibiki decides to tell the truth. At their next formation ceremony, he declares that he believes in the friendship of Fuari and Falulu, and to their surprise, the system accepts it. He might not believe in all friendship, but he does know he's made 2 friends within Pripara, and because he believes in them, the 3 are able to perform as a unit. I love their French aesthetic as well as their writing. This is undeniably my favorite unit. So now we've got 5 teams for the major tournament, but that's an odd number. Luckily, there's 3 CG models they had lying around. Chanko, Cosmo, and Ajimi make up Uchari Big Bangs, a unit scratched together to make an even bracket. Each of the final battles is a statement on the team's ideology. It's the last time we see them for a while, so these are declarative statements on who deserves to win, finally answering who deserves to be a divine idol. When Judy came down to Pripara, she was meant to arrive in her full glory, reigning over the tournament and guiding the birth of a divine idol. That's what her sister would do. But Julie had other ideas. Looking to teach Janice, she decided to go down as a baby, learning to love the idols up close, the idols she'd grown to care about. But that choice was unacceptable. Due to tampering with the system, she will soon cease to exist. Turning Janice into a baby was a lesson. She wanted her sister to learn love before handing over control of the system, and this revelation brings Janice to tears. All this time, she'd been judging idols too harshly, unable to see their full struggles. She thought she was meant to guide them, but perhaps a goddess is meant to love. Julie wanted to love them, to be their friend, to be an idol just like them. So she came down from heaven, an act the system could not allow. Despite this, Julie was ready for the consequences, spending her last moments living out her dream, and hopefully preparing her sister for the new role. Knowing that Julie will cease to exist, the girls have one more goal for this finale. It's not a pretty series finale without insane stakes. The bracket starts with comedic matchups before bigger battles later on. For this reason, Garumageddon and Uchari go up first. They had no real chance of winning, but the writers gave them entertaining matches. Garumageddon embody the chaos of Pripara, naughty children who cheat their way to the top. For this reason, they're pit against Dressing Parfait, rebels in their own right, but open to direct conflict. Xion faces them with her full might, enduring every scheme they throw at her, including taking Usagi's bones so he misses the ceremony. He swallows cement to recover and makes it at the last minute. While Garumageddon thrives in chaos, Dressing Parfait was born of passion, a passion Xion couldn't find in the Go world, passion the twins lacked in their personal lives. The conflict between Xion and Dorothy even got Leona to step up sometimes. These sparks ignite to make the unit shine, and that's what wins them the first round. Uchari Big Bangs is a filler unit. You know this, I know this, the writers know this. So what right do they have to be facing Tricolor? Well, they're kinda opposites. Tricolor is the refined elite, while Uchari is the punk outsider making waves. Their team is pretty new but has explosive potential. It's elites versus outsiders, the established stars of Pripara versus an underground band. The trio lose, but Hibiki finally tells Ajimi he hates Gobies. She didn't know this entire time. I want to talk about the final match in round 1, but honestly, it's Salami, Smile, and Non-Sugar. I feel we spent enough time on them. If anything, the match is a long time coming, with Non vowing to beat Lala as early as season 1. It doesn't happen, not in this tournament, but it is a fun rivalry. The girls' dynamic has come a long way. Non used to look down on Lala, but she cared enough to hide the baby and keep Lala's secret when that was still a thing. As much as she berates her sister, she did base Kanon's personality on her. They're a fun duo who got a sweet send-off in this tournament. Now it's time to get to the bigger matches. Due to the bracket, Dressing Parfait's win sent them straight to finals, meaning the semi-final pits Tricolor against Salami, Smile. This is a revisit of season 2 and I loved every part of it. Hibiki's teammates want to talk to Lala, but he urges them to take this seriously. He even asks Sophie if she used his special plums, but she didn't. There's so many callbacks to past dynamics. Megani's hand shakes when Hibiki draws his lot because there's still tension between them. Now remember that Hibiki's elitism is partially a self-esteem issue. The events of her childhood are never forgotten. Even at this final stage, Hibiki is allowed to be petty, arriving to both performances late. During the song, Tricolor debuts a brand new mechanic, consecutive making dramas, a new frontier for the girls to climb. In Megani's words, it's a perfect performance, and the world waits to see Lala's response. Salami Smile's entrance makes the difference clear. They don't appear on stage, but among the masses, engaging the crowd with questions before the song. It represents everything they stand for. Remember the big show at the end of season 1, where everyone had the prism voice and the paradise chord? That's the same song they perform, and the crowd sings along. The match is close, but the answer is obvious. Salami Smile wins by a hair. They almost can't believe it. It's a pretty impressive feat, and I'd like to note Sophie's exhaustion. Her choice to pursue greatness in her own way over Hibiki's is really narratively significant. Both characters don't complete their arcs by the end of the show because disability and trauma are lifelong endeavors. Hibiki offers a handshake, which Lala accepts. He tries to share his thoughts, but she barely understands them. For a brief moment, Lala had Hibiki's respect. Now we're ready to cover the finals. The main 6 have come a long way. We've unpacked them time and time again per season. Out of all the characters, these are the closest to divine idolhood, and both units played a large role in Julie's upbringing. In the goddess's palace, Janice asks what it's like to have a mother, not to look down as a goddess, but to look up as a helpless little girl. Who deserves to be looked up to? Who sets the perfect example for all idols? Before the teams are rivals, the two are friends. The girls get together for lunch and perform as a group one more time the day before the match. Their making dramas are nostalgic, calling back to the good old days. But who deserves to win? Lala, who uses her voice to connect to everyone, or Dorothy, who speaks for herself? Mide, who's calculated to a fault, or Shion, who faces everything head on? Sophie, who longs to dance freely, or Leona, who's happy to follow her sister's footsteps? The voting is a tug of war between both units, with everyone on Earth chipping in. There's even an untimely Donald Trump cameo, who votes for DP, by the way. With the tightest victory yet, Julie arrives to crown the newest divine idols, and in the brightest Silum yet, Salami Smile are selected. But they have one more opponent before this tournament's over. Immediately after the match, they must defeat Julie and Janice on stage. We haven't addressed it, but the two sing in perfect harmony. The song's name is Girls' Fantasy, and the making drama features a cosmic event which the two partake in. There's a lot of ways to read this, but none entirely concrete. Perhaps it's a reference to the Big Bang, or it represents Pripara as the nexus for true girlhood, a stage for self-actualization through the fulfillment of girls' fantasies. Let me know what you think the goddess's performance means. Everyone comes together to help Salami Smile write a new song, a song proclaiming that all idols are friends. The crowd notices the song's similarity to the goddesses, connecting the ideas. The idol is the girl realized, and that's why they sing, everyone's an idol, and everyone's a friend. It's quite blunt, but it gets to the goddesses who join the second half. The 5 sing together on an elevated stage, where Julie crowns the new divine idols, the girls who fully understood the promise of Pripara and carried it out for 3 seasons. It means a lot that the girl and the goddess are allowed to share a stage here. And while their victory is jubilant, the celebrations cut short. As the system strikes Julie down, this will be her punishment for daring to mingle with humans. Julie is trapped in a lightning cage while Janice reaches out to save her. Unfortunately, both are taken, and they leave the divine tact in Lala's hands. The whole of Pripara has been left to her, and without the goddesses, the stage that they were standing in starts to crash. Once again, the girls must sing, but the lightning attacks them too, so every single unit starts to sing their song in tune. It's a really sweet moment. The power of Pripara is quite literally being held up by the girls, so the entire world snaps tickets, and finally, through the girls' power, both gods are saved. The finale was a thrill to watch. It reinstated every message across the seasons, but we're not done yet, because at the very end, it's reinstated one last time. Julie passes the baton to Janice and disappears to do her new job, becoming a figure in the real world. Do you ever wonder how they got their Prix tickets? Well, that's Julie's job now, handing them out to unsuspecting girls. To hammer it home, even the vocal dolls get to leave Pripara for one day, appreciating the real world. We skipped over a lot of season 3, but I hope you enjoyed this analysis. Stick around for Design Breakdown on Patreon, and let me know what you liked about Pripara. It is a very special show to me. If you've made it this far, leave a ribbon in the comments. I will see you guys next time. Unless you're on Patreon, in which case we're about to break down all the cut content. You could tell this was a rush job.